guys, welcome to our major and career documentary. Our producers are Eliza, Greiner, Annika and Joseph Valenta. Thank you guys so much for watching and we hope you enjoy. Our group major was biology. There are several different routes you can take within a biology major: ecology, biostatistics, biochemistry, human anatomy, and especially marine biology here at UNCW. After spending a semester as a biology major, there has been a few careers that have interested me. One of those in particular is cellular and molecular biology research. In doing this career, you spend most of your time in a lab looking at cells under a microscope. It seems kind of boring, but it's actually really fascinating being able to answer so many questions with research. The schooling requirements are a Bachelor's of Cell Biology, PhD, and a postdoctoral fellowship. A postdoctoral fellowship allows you to work under a professional in the field and perfect your career, so you can move on and work on your career on your own. When becoming a cellular and molecular researcher, there are two main paths you can take. The first is you can go to work for a big company and work under their regulations. There are two typical days in the life of a researcher at a major company, according to Quora. The first is you get set up for the day, check up on emails, you'll begin running your tests on previous samples collected, and continue to run experiments if the working samples are ready. Then you'll record your findings and continue on with that process. The second kind of day is getting caught up on literature about the next experiment you need to run. You'll compare experimental results from the same experiment, fix equipment, etc. A typical salary for someone working under a large company is about $120,000. So as you can see, working for a larger company does give you the income, however, it doesn't give you the freedom to answer the questions that you want to ask. The second option is going to work at your own lab. You get much more freedom to answer your own questions and study the things that interest you, but without the greatest pay. A typical day of an independent researcher and professor at UNCW. You'll teach your classes, which give structure to your day and plan out your time. You'll fit in time to work in your personal lab to help grad students with projects. You'll work on your own personal projects, confer with fellow researchers and engineers, and the salary combined to be a professor and an independent researcher is around $100,000. So it's not as much as if you're working under a big company, but in trade, you get to work on your own projects and you get to decide how your day goes. Dr. Frampton, who is an independent researcher and professor here at UNCW, chose the second route. The main job of a researcher working in a lab depends on what kind of study they choose to do. For Dr. Frampton, his interest is in cell biology. He works on many things, including creating viruses to attack breast cancer, which he was recently featured in the news for. I had the privilege to learn about his college/career journey and how he made the decision to do so.
How did your college journey begin and end?
All right. I guess it never did end.
Yeah, very true.
No, so let's see. I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, so the northern Wilmington. And then I had a few of my cousins that went to the University of Tennessee.
Okay.
And really liked it.
Mm-hmm. I'm from Asheville, so that's very
okay.
close.
Yeah, cool. And so they were like, you should check it out. So, when I was thinking of colleges to apply to, I visited UT and really liked it and decided to go there. So
That's awesome.
that's where I started way back when, and ended up getting my Bachelor's of Science in Cell Biology, and that's what I currently teach, so it worked out. But actually, when I first went to UT, I did not intend to major in bio. I had no intention. I was intending to major in communication studies.
Okay.
And so I got there and I started taking classes freshman year, just like you guys. And I took a British literature course, and there was another communication studies intro class. And I really didn't like those classes so much. I mean, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And then I was also taking like an intro, like a Bio 201 type class. And I had a really good professor that, got me interested in bio, and then I had a really good lab TA as well. So I kind of got excited, started to think about, well, maybe I could switch. And ultimately I did, and I went like pre-med track, and, at one point. I thought I was going to go to med school, but then, you know, I was decided to go to grad school later. But anyway, so I got my Bachelor's of Science there at UT, and then I took about a year and a half, 2 years between undergrad and grad school, where I did different things. So I was a substitute teacher at a K-12 academy.
That's fun.
So one of these deals where they would call you up and say, hey, we need somebody to teach, you know, second graders, you know, can you make it today? And they pay you 50 bucks and you go in or whatever. So that was interesting. I mean, I quickly realized I didn't want to teach at that level. It was tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for those that do that day in and day out, because it's really challenging. I did stuff like that. I worked for a small biotech company as a lab technician type position, but they had me doing the same assay over, like every day. It was very monotonous, and so I was like, and the pay was decent, you know, for a 22-year-old. You know, I was probably making back then, I don't know, $16 to $20 an hour, which was, you know, and that's back in the 90s, so that's, you know, so it was decent. But, you know, like I said, it was the same thing, and I couldn't really see myself advancing there. So I started to think then that, you know, if I really want to kind of have my own gig and kind of call my own shots, I really need to go to grad school, get my PhD, and see where that takes me. And so I eventually applied different places and interviewed down at Louisiana State University, which used to be called LSU Medical Center. And so there's the hospital there for med students, but also they have graduate programs affiliated with the med school. And so I applied and ultimately attended the microbiology and immunology program.
That's really cool.
And so I got accepted, went down there and spent 6 years at LSU and got my PhD in microbiology and immunology from that school. And then I decided to do what's called a postdoctoral fellowship. I don't know if you're familiar with what they are, but they're analogous to residencies for MDs, right? So when you finish med school, typically you have to do a residency for a few years. That's similar to a postdoctoral fellowship in the sciences, right? So I got my PhD, but it's further training in somebody else's lab, right? Before you try to get your own lab or go work for a company or whatever, right? So I was looking around to see where to do a postdoc. I interviewed at Pittsburgh first, and I really enjoyed it, and they offered me the position, and it was a big lab, lots of funding, lots of really cool research projects to get involved with, and so I was like, okay, I'm coming here, and so I didn't even go interview at Charleston, but Pittsburgh's great too. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a really cool city, and in terms of the sciences and medicine, I mean, they're really top notch, so I ended up going there, doing the postdoc, and I stayed there for 6 years. You know what I mean? So it was kind of one of these extended, well, it was not kind of, but it was one of these extended postdocs, right? You basically, you sign like these year-long contracts, and then they're renewed or not every year. So I did that, and I was fortunate to get some really good research accomplished and publish, right? Because that's the name of the game in academia, right? In sciences, you know, you got to be able to publish to try to see if you can get the next job. So I did that for 6 years, and then I started to look for faculty positions. Meantime, I got a call from here. UNC Wilmington was looking to hire a virologist, right? Because virology wasn't taught back in 2008 when I was hired. So they were looking to bring on somebody that could develop that class and teach it every year. And so I came down here, interviewed, and got the job. And so I've been here for 13 years now, and it's been pretty nice. It's a good position. So I worked my way up and got tenured, and now I'm associate professor. So yes, so that's kind of the journey. And
what advice would you give to students when they are taking on the journey of choosing a career?
Yeah, so that's probably number one would be explore widely, right? I mean, don't get locked in early, you know, because like I said, I thought I was going to be like a broadcaster or a journalist or something, right? And so when I started to actually explore what that career really entailed, I was like, I don't know, you know, so I guess explore broadly, you know, talk to as many people as possible in different careers, right? To see what they like about it, what they don't like about it, right? Ask a lot of questions, right? And then take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves, right? And so, you know.
Hey guys, I'm going to be voicing Annika's slides, but this is all her work, all of toxicology, is Annika's chosen career, but I'm just going to be voicing it for her. So here we go. Have you ever wondered where all of your medicine comes from? If you were to go down to the basics in creating medicine, you would learn about the chemicals that interact with each other to produce a specific outcome. How would you know what chemicals would be harmful when mixed or produced miraculous effects? That is what toxicology is. In toxicology, you study the effects of chemicals in medicine to protect public health. Annika interviewed Dr. Joseph Covey, and I'm just going to let that interview play while you guys read her slides.
Dr. Joseph Covey. I got my PhD at Louisiana State University. I received my PhD in physiology, and I studied when I was in graduate school. I studied dormancy in zooplankton, and these are with organisms that can completely shut down metabolism. The mechanisms that I studied were completely new, never seen in any other species. And I was fascinated by searching for new topics. So in that my research at UNCW is an extension of what I started as a student. My normal day-to-day tasks are very diverse. As a professor, we have 3 parts to the job. One part is teaching, one part is research, and the third part is to help run the university. We call it service. It's service to the university. So I serve on committees to make decisions about the university, committees to hire new people. That's the service component. For the teaching component, we have all the courses we teach, plus advising. That's considered part of teaching. The research includes student training. So we train students. So sometimes I do research in the lab myself. Sometimes I'm training new students to do research. And then we have to write publications. We have to write grant proposals. We have to help our students to write their thesis or dissertation, so documents, honors thesis, master's thesis. So there are so many different tasks, it would take me a whole day just to list them. So it's very diverse. Every day you do something different. Every minute you do something different, it seems.
The requirements to become an anesthesiologist are to get your bachelor's degree, pass the MCAT, go to medical school, pass the USMLE, complete residency, and then become licensed by the state you practice in, and then get board certified. What do anesthesiologists do? Before surgery, they will ask you questions days and weeks before the surgery to make sure you're ready for it, ask you questions and all that fun stuff. During the surgery, the anesthesiologist will manage your pain and closely monitor the anesthesia, as well as maintaining medical problems like diabetes or high blood pressure. After the surgery, the anesthesiologist will supervise people taking care of the patient and monitors the oxygen levels as well as the circulation. They also decide whether the patient gets to go home or when the patient gets to go to the normal room or an ICU. Anesthesiologists also help create the recovery plan for the patient. Salaries for an anesthesiologist range from $280,000 to $480,000, with the average salary being $382,000. Anesthesiologists tend to make so much money due to the cost of their education and the risks involved with their job. Due to the job most likely being performed in an operating room, anesthesiologists are usually exposed to chemical fumes, radiation, infectious agents, and constant state of stress and pressure.